Okay. Hello, John, and hello, Marine.
Hello.
Hello. What's
So
up, guys?
another episode of blaming the end user. Yeah. So this time we do it a little bit different. Our honored guest John Levesque from Microsoft, right from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
We talk a little bit about your keynote topic from this year. So you said that you're gonna speak at 10 keynotes. Was this your
I
goal?
do. So I had to cancel one, so I actually only have 9.
Damn.
But still, that
Yeah.
I only if you guys remember, my goal this year was 3, and I'm at 9, so I feel okay about that.
Yeah,
Smashed.
that's
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
So your topic, your keynote topic this year is actually about user adoption, and the title is "The Tools Don't Matter." So what made you actually A, to get into user adoption, and B, choose this type of title?
So, I feel like, a keynote talk, a lot of people go and do a keynote talk and it's very much like roadmap, right? Here's all the things that are coming. Microsoft people do keynotes and they do roadmap, I should say. Not a lot of people, just Microsoft people.
Right.
I didn't want to do that, right? And so I wanted to do something valuable to the entire audience to get
Mhm.
them prepped for the day. And user adoption is something that everybody should be thinking about, right? When we are doing demos, we should be thinking about how people are going to consume that or reuse that. When I'm putting slides together, I'm thinking about how do I phrase this in the easiest way so the most people can understand it, right? So user adoption elements are part of everything I do as an evangelist, right? That's my job, is like get people to
Yeah.
use something and get them to be happy using something.
Yeah.
And so
Which is
yeah,
two very different things, of course.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You got your first problem, which is getting them there, and then your second problem, which is keeping them there.
Yeah. Very, very true.
So yeah, so I mean, it just started out with that, me knowing that I didn't want to do the typical Microsoft keynote, that I wanted to talk about the heart of people and how it affects all of us. And so then the tools don't matter. The name came along because I just like to be edgy, right? And I just like
Yeah.
to bother people. And so it's
Uh,
like it's
uh,
funny when you should have seen.
we love that, John.
Yes. And I think, it's fun, right? And in my
Yeah.
my marketing team, they had me change the title actually. So the first time I ran the talk, it was something else. It was something very watered down. And then I was like, no, I'm changing it back. And so I've been running with the tools don't matter
Great.
since then.
Great. Yeah. So what is the main point about the tools that matter? I mean, of course, the organizations, they're full of tools, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the main freaking problem that you have like 10, 15 tools you need to run your daily business, and it's getting even worse.
Yeah.
So what's kind of the main point of your topic, or
So
of
I
your
think the main point is that people tend to find a way to do things, and that might not be the right way, but
yeah.
they're going to find a way to get done the things they need to get done in their day, right?
Shadow IT.
That's right. and uh and so I feel like when you the main point of the talk is that everybody's going to find a way to do what they need to do, and it might not be the right way, right? But if to them tools don't actually matter, right? As long as they can get their job done, it doesn't matter if they use tool A or tool B or tool C. But most of the time, the real problem is they're not even willing to try tool A or B or C. The way they get their job done is some shitty long way that they learned on the second day from someone who had been there for 100 years. And they have no idea how to take advantage of what's actually offered to them. And this is not their fault. This is not like I'm mad at them for this. This is just the way things are. People just kind of jump in, get used to it, and as soon as you figure out how to do it, that's the way you just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so this talk, the main point is about how do we take people and get them to stop protecting their pile of shit. That's how I talk about it. You carry around this big pile of shit. Exactly. There it is.
So you say a lot about it is, it makes a lot of noise, and it stinks
That's
nowadays.
right.
how it's done with the tools, and especially when how user adoption is driven, with a lot of noise and a lot of overhead things, and even more stressing out people.
Yep.
So yeah, it actually really stinks.
Exactly. It's like, oh, here's an initiative. We need to get this stuff done, but like, here's no instruction on how to do it.
Yeah. And here's no budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
This is one for this.
There you go. The no budget gets a
Oh,
definite farce now.
I can
Exactly.
kind of taste it in my mouth now. Ugh.
I don't want to know what you did for lunch.
It's weird. It smells like eggs. It's strange. No, and so that's the main part of it, right? Is how do we take people from that place of going day to day, protecting their pile of crap because that's just what they know. How do we get them to open up and be willing to try some new things, to take on some new initiatives, to step out from the way they've been doing it and think of possibly doing it a better way? And so I've created a methodology that helps you as a business owner or a consultant really, get your customers to a place that brings them there. And it's just 6 steps. And I kind of take you through the journey, 6 steps. I'm not going to share them too much in depth now, but you got to check out the keynote.
Yeah, sure.
But the first one and the big one that I do want to talk about, because I think it's the most important, is show and tell. So when you're trying to get to do user adoption, one of the biggest, most important things that I think you have to do right away out of the gate is show and tell, just like kids, right? Like, and I tell this story in the keynote about my son. He's 5 and he does show and tell at school. And so he went and did show and tell about this tool set that he has, a little hammer and a screwdriver and a drill and his little tool belt, and about how, yes, boom, the hammer, right? And so he pulls out his hammer out of his tool belt and he starts talking about all the things that he can build now that he has a hammer. Right. And so I use that in the talk to build a parallel to say, isn't that funny? That's just like us. Like now you have these new tools. Now, oh man, what I can build or what I can destroy.
Yeah.
In the case of Thor's hammer, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so yeah.
Talking about hammer, I mean the hammer. You hear about the hammer method? That you just basically force stuff on people.
Every problem's a nail.
Exactly. Just hammer them down.
Yep.
And this is also a big issue. When it comes to user adoption, that you just try to hammer the new information to the head of the end users, and it doesn't really work. So this actually destroys the whole thing. It doesn't build new things. So you need to find other ways to do this rather than hammering information and new ways of work into the users. They will just not adopt it from one day to another. It takes time, and it takes. Absolutely. I mean, show and tell is a great example to overcome this type of problem.
Yeah, because I think people don't really understand what's possible, right? And so the 6 steps I've coined it as the art of the possible. And so how do we show people what's possible for them? And so I think that's the first step in it. Show and tell is like, think about it. User groups, right? It's show and tell. And when we go and talk at conventions and trade shows and all that stuff, like that's us doing show and tell, right? Like, look at what we've made. Look at what you can also make. And I think that that's just so vital for people to start their open-minded journey, because I think without that, a lot of people really struggle to figure out, well, what would I even do with this? Mm-hmm. And that's really where a lot of people get left on the user adoption journey, I think, is even before the first step, right? I think if people are given an idea or a direction, then it's much easier for them to be like, oh yeah, okay, I could try that. But when they're left to come up with it on their own, I think this is where then most people struggle and actually stop.
Yeah.
They need to be inspired.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but this is a bit still the cultural problem that, we are taught since we go to school that, hey, you need to solve problems your own, and you need to go through the tests yourself, and there is no collaboration in school, and this somehow brainwashes our ways, and it goes into the corporate world that, you know, I need to figure it out myself. This is my project. I need to do this. And people can get really stressed about this. And actually, the real world is not like that. You get much further if you collaborate, if you
Totally.
share ideas, and especially, you know, hey, look, I've made this cool flow, and some other might think, hey, okay, wow, this is interesting. Maybe I can use that type of idea to solve my problem, and things like that. So user adoption has a lot to do with this as well, not just learning, but actually co-creating and sharing your achievements. Yeah?
Absolutely.
And make them public. And people just shouldn't be shy about do that, even though if your flow sucks, you can share it. Right?
Totally. I mean, there's a lot of people in our community that build very simple flows, but like it's still valuable for them, right? And that's the beautiful part of it. And I think, yeah, you touched on something there that I think is really important, and it's that all of us will go do it, right? But we just have to have a few things to equip us, right? Like people, we do oftentimes look at our view of the world like this, but I think it's that show and tell again, right? That takes you to that other place where you're like for instance, recently I went to a company and we did some show and tell about flow and power apps with them. I got up and talked about flow, and then had their company get up and show the flows that they had made. And so it did a couple of things, right? So you have a Microsoft person there talking about their product. So like number one, the people are like, oh, this is cool. Microsoft's here. This is neat. But then what was neat was as I was talking about it, you could see some of them starting to get it. Like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But then when their IT team came and presented the flows they had already made, you could see everyone in the room now was on the page, right? They understood a few things. So I think this exercise did a few things for them. One, it introduces them to the concept of flow from me, right? Two, it shows them what's possible with the tool already being used in their environment. But most importantly, I think to the user adoption journey, it does this third thing. It actually gives them a sense of security. Because they see their IT team using it and having it in production and knowing that their coworkers have interacted with this in some way, or maybe they have, this suddenly then builds a permission for them to be able to go then and use this. It creates that, oh, maybe I can too. Now, it might not open that person up right away and they may not jump and start using it, but for every one of those people, it definitely plants that seed. It's like, oh, I this is okay. I can do this.
Yeah. Change of a mindset.
Yes.
So next time you can also go like, this is the flow you've been looking for.
Use the force.
Exactly.
You love flow. Yeah. You're going to use flow.
So in that case, tools matter, right?
That's right. That's right. But see, a lightsaber is different than a hammer, though, too, right? Because the hammer, we can build some things. We can push too hard and destroy some things. But a lightsaber only destroys, right? Now, it is a good tool. It has a good job, but you can't build shit with it. And so that's like a whole other part about it too, is the right tool for the job at the time. And so I talk about that in the keynote too, how half the companies on the planet are dealing with a scarcity of tools right now, where even like me at Microsoft, I have to go write a 3-page business justification to spend $15, right? Like to try a new tool.
Yeah, and the Microsoft our reporting process is like, sorry, the most shittiest thing I've ever seen.
Right? So it's like even I am still dealing with that crap, you know? But then you have other companies that buy every single tool on the planet, and then nobody knows what to use when, right? I have like 5 tools to do the same job. How do I know? Should I use Dropbox? Should I use OneDrive? Should I use Box? Should I, right? Like I have all of these. Like, how do I know where to keep my stuff? And I think that's the other issue, right? Is people will either be up against no tools or up against too many tools. And I think that's another big hurdle.
For the customers like these, the lightsaber will be useful because you can just cut the crap out of the cut the crap out of the tools what they don't really need. I mean, I also have a customer here in Switzerland. They really, for SharePoint platform, they bought everything there
Okay.
is.
And how much
Everything.
of it do they use?
It's totally over-engineered. It's not usable, And I don't know, they maybe use 2 or 3 tools of that. That's my guess. I don't really know, but they really bought everything,
And they paid for 15 or 20, and they use 3.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
just,
Yeah.
it's just, they have money and, let's try this. Okay, it's not so much. We need to use our budget. So
There was a good
Oh,
salesperson involved
Yeah.
there, sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we as a vendor love customers like this, but
Right.
still,
I was gonna say you're not complaining to
Full
sell some extra
disclosure.
SKUs.
yeah. But I mean, in the end, it's all about the value for the end user, as you said. All what they want is get shit done. It doesn't matter which tools they use, but to using the right tool at the right time to achieve the right thing,
Exactly.
to be more productive. That's kind of the main goal of every tool that there is.
And that's the big user adoption question, is how do we get the user there? How do we help people understand what tool does that job?
Yeah.
And then how do we then not only help them understand that's the right tool, but then in my case, okay, great, now I've introduced you to the right tool. Now how do I make you happy while using it? Right? And so you have those 2 journeys, right? You have that first one of how do I get you here so that when you have this problem, this is the thing you use to solve it. And then once you do that, how do I get you to a place where you can do that efficiently so it makes you happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of my job is user adoption, right? It's my job to point people to Flow, to get users to use it, and then also to get people to be happy using it. And I feel like those 2 things tie into the user adoption journey holistically.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really good point. What is your main strategy to make the users happy? Is it really only about show and tell and kind of, giving them an environment to share, that it's okay to also share crap or to fail in this environment? What else?
I think there's a couple different components. Definitely those 2 you mentioned are part of it, but I think also listening. So what I do is I feel like I listen to what they tell me, what my community says they need, and I give them mechanisms to deliver that feedback back to the team and then also I feel like in my position, the way I do it is I am on the community's side. So when there's a discussion with the team, I'm actually your representative to the team. And so when the team pushes back against what you guys want, I push back on what they want for you. And so I think that's another part of it, right? Is making people feel heard, right? Because people are going to be much more willing to do what you want them to do or go where you need them to go if they feel like you care or you're listening. And so I think that that's a big part of it too, right? User adoption journeys go 2 ways, right? I can give you a lot, but I also have to be willing to listen so that I can give you the proper things in the proper timing and understand your journey, because it's individual for all of us, right? None of us learn the same. Like me, I struggled in school really hard because I don't learn well from books or from someone standing there telling me. Even though I stand up on a stage and tell other people how to do it, I don't learn that way. And so for me, I actually have to break things. Like, so when I first started learning Flow, I just took templates and I broke them, and then I had to fix them because it was like the challenge. Okay, I broke this, now it has to work. I took the hammer, I broke it apart, and then I was forced to put it back together. And so I think, for each person, we have to also remember the journey's a little different. Everybody learns a little different, and so we have to be willing to listen so that we can take in the proper feedback, so that we can make the changes to the initiatives so that they really do suit people and we can bring like everyone along on that journey.
Yeah, great. These are really, really good points, John. So how could we conclude this? I would say one thing, stop farting around. Use the hammer to build stuff and not smash it up, and cut the crap with the lightsaber, right?
Nice. I like it. It's a great summary.
Yeah.
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 The only 3 tools that matter.
That's
Oh,
right. So some tools do matter then.
some tools do matter. Yeah.
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 Awesome. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the event, to give the talk, to come to Central Europe, to Zurich, my favorite city on the planet. It's gonna be great.
Oh, you haven't been in Helsinki yet.
I haven't. I'm open to taking on new favorites. I went to Amsterdam, and that was my second favorite. There's just something about Zurich. I don't know. It was like perfect. In my mind, it was just perfect.
I have some really cool surprises planned for Zurich, and yeah. But hopefully next year you can make it to Helsinki as well.
So
places in the world.
Next year I won't do Zurich, and I'll do Helsinki.
Okay, great. All right.
Cool. That's it then?
Cool, guys. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, hey, if you haven't already, you should get signed up for Zurich. And I'm going to go ahead and just drop a shameless plug. If you want to see where I'm speaking, I'm delivering this keynote 4 more times this year. Go ahead and check out my website, johnlevesque.com.
Cool. Where else do you have the keynote?
So I'm doing it in New York in like 2 weeks. I am doing it in Zurich after that, Stockholm after that, and then also again in Paris in December.
Cool. Yeah, New York. I like New York. Say hi to Tom and to Melissa.
I will. You're going to be missed. I heard that you were there last year and were a monster party animal, so I'm not surprised.
Me? No, never.
You? Never.
No.
But
Cool.
just no.
No. Never heard about that. No. Never seen that.
Yeah, I try to go again next year to New York. I will pile for a session for next year, but this year wasn't possible. Yeah. Okay. Hey,
Right.
Thanks a lot for your appearance here, John. It was a pleasure. Yeah. And well, see you end of August in Zurich.
All right. I'll see you guys there.
Cheers.
Bye,
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Yep.